And we're live.
Hi, I'm Steve.
And I'm John.
And we're the BullCritter's Corner, bringing you evening coffee.
Coffee with the...
We're going to have to figure out the name a little bit more solidly. We're just going to sit here, drink some coffee, talk about role-playing games, D&D.
Probably some PC games, too, if you're
PC
interested.
games, yeah. It's a pretty wide array of things we'll be talking about.
And, of course, as normal, if anybody comes on in and has a topic of discussion in the nerddom realm that they wish to bring up, we'll be more than happy to address that, too. So what have you been doing recently as far as gaming goes?
Well, I've been playing around with the module, but that's been a bit of a stopgate for us here lately.
Well, I meant in your realm. You're running games again, right?
I'm actually starting back up next Friday.
Next Friday.
Got the schedules realigned for the Friday game, my primary Solarian Adventures game. And I currently have the party in the middle of pretty much the end of the end of the campaign. So they've gotten themselves mixed up in a situation where someone is trying to release Caius, and they're in a section of the Shadowfell where in my setting I have Caius imprisoned. And they're trying to stop the person who is attempting to release Caius. And right now they are having to fight their way through the traps that have not yet been set off, and the minions of the ball worshippers and the worm-infected undead that are currently holding the fortress in which Caius is imprisoned.
How long has that campaign been running? Now, in real time.
In real time, including the periods of hiatus, as of January, we would be at 3 years, I think.
3 years. How many? That's a lot of sessions, I'm sure.
When we started for the first 8 months, we were doing every Friday. As we got to about the 8-month mark, I ended up having to take a hiatus because I was just getting overwhelmed. Real life stuff was starting to weigh on my creative time. And putting together a session every week, although in theory it sounds like it can be a real simple thing, the more complicated that your storylines begin to become, the more time you have to invest in preparing the next session.
Yeah, it almost makes sense to start preparing things modularly. So, like, instance, you have a storyline, like you say you built out your 5x5 story boxes and all that. You actually go, no one's touched this story key or this story element for like 2 sessions now. But instead of not having anything for it, if it does come up, I have this little thing I've pre-built to get me into the next step of that.
Yeah.
And I just inject it wherever.
I think if I did more long-term pre-planning in most of my D&D running, I probably would be better off for it. But I'm a mixture of the improv with mild planning. Like, I'll do some planning, but like the degree of my planning, and you'll find that quite a few DMs do this. There are less that would do preparation on the level that you normally pull.
Yeah, but
they might
see how little I'm willing. Like, that's why I'm also not willing to do it a second time if it isn't going well. Because I'm like, I put a lot of time.
Yeah. For me, like for a 4-hour session, I might have the equivalent of 2 paragraphs of stuff written out. But when I say the equivalent of, it's like I'll write a short, half-broken sentence about something to remind me that this is something that I need to keep in mind for that session.
It's something that you built in your head already.
Yeah.
So you just need the references to kick back to.
I put a couple of little references onto the piece of paper. Most of my preparation usually is either when I actually am presenting a dungeon, or I have a tendency to go through and create a list of random encounters. which sometimes stay random, and other times it'll be like actually this content that the players just found their way into because, again, I'm very improv. It's like, oh crap, it's good luck that I decided to prepare 3 pages of orc encounters last week because we just went into an orcish fortress that I didn't intend to send the party into, and now we're doing that. Thankfully, I prepared some shit. But no, so with this particular campaign, the first major story arc started with them going into a dungeon and them taking a direct bit of interest in something that originally was just set dressing.
Yeah, this Caius thing isn't. This is a result of something that happened as they were closing as they were investigating another thing.
They were investigating something entirely different that wasn't the intended arc, and one of the items I presented was a spell book that had a Lich's soul trapped in it.
That wasn't Caius.
No, that wasn't Caius.
They were investigating that when they released Caius.
No, that's the guy who is releasing Caius. The Lich is the one doing the Caius release. What they were investigating was
I thought the frog guy was...
That was something that happened along the path to Caius.
No, they closed that.
No, the frog's still open.
So they so they're closing the first.
They're currently
campaign.
Dealing with the Lich,
and they have a side quest left over at the end that this other Lich has turned into.
They have a handful of things that they have left open, but the entire arc started with a spell book that was supposed to be a neat item.
Yeah.
For them to gain benefit out of if they were willing to corrupt themselves. Not like full depravity corrupt, but like light corruption, right?
Just some white collar crew.
Yeah, some white collar corruption. But the players were like, no, we want to destroy this item. And I was like, okay. So just kind of Deus Ex Machina, I said that it has the ability to cast a counter spell. And when I did that, I never thought about the fact that our sorcerer in the party could get outside of the range of a counterspell spell. And one of the things I like to give my players is that they are creative enough to work their way around something that I put in place.
You find a different solution.
I'll give it to them. I mean, it creates more drama. It creates more interesting stuff. So... when they did the dispel, they made the roll surprisingly a high roll. I think he actually nat 20'd it, and I know in 5th edition the nat 20 really
it will always
works.
Hold value with the players. The natural 20 will always be imaginative as the most ultimate success you can have.
So in that instance, I gave them, and I let them release the thing. They thought they destroyed the thing, but they released the Lich's soul. I gave a description that made it very apparent that they released something. And then, shortly thereafter, they also spoke to an NPC who had some knowledge of the item in question. And he was like, oh crap. Y'all realize you just released, I think the guy's name is Percy Havel, but he was like a big bad from the past that had been imprisoned by heroes. and they did not react to it in a good way. They left him time to do
downtime and all that.
So, but that entire thing spilled over, and that's where we are now. The party
3 years. That's a good time.
Years. That's
a good story to be finding a way to Bo. So how do you find that to be different then? Because I mean, obviously, the story's coming to a head. Like that arc. But I'm sure it's not all going to happen in one session.
No, I think we have at least another 6 or so sessions.
So what do you find yourself doing as a DM habitually when it comes to, or do you separate those kinds of? Because you kind of got to think of it like a mid-season and a season finale. Like there's certain things you do. Like the season premiere, you want to do what? You want to throw some huge big hooks, some interesting things. That's what you do at the beginning of the next arc. But right now, you're getting near the end. What are some of the things you want to do to spice up your end or make it feel memorable? Or
well, right now, for me, from a mechanic side first, I'm planning on letting them get to 17th level for the final encounter. which means I have to cram a considerable amount of XP into the next 12 rooms, because I'm only planning on the rest of this place being 12 rooms.
Wait, so you're saying it's going to be 6 to 8 more sessions in 12 rooms?
Yes.
These must be some.
Well, let me rephrase.
Plus, you get a denouement. You have to get a denouement.
When I say 12 rooms, I mean 12 encounter rooms that will have more than just verbal description. They'll actually have a physical map. There's probably about maybe 30, 35 more rooms, but some of those rooms, a majority of those rooms, are going to be more theater of the mind. Which will rely on me giving solid descriptions. It will give the player some opportunities to interact with a few things, because there are some friendly NPCs that are in the location who these players have had contact with before, and it will give them an opportunity to perhaps try and save some of those NPCs from unfortunate situations, or make the decision to let them, go in a different direction. The other reason I believe that it'll be about 6 sessions is there is a building tension, a building drama internally within the party. Because through the course of play, there have been a handful of characters who have decided to align themselves with a particular evil deity. And there are others in the party that are not extremely fond or keen on that relationship.
Is the deity taking more of a presence now?
It is starting to take more of a presence. It's definitely being felt in a much more extreme way. And because of that, it is leading to... There is a possibility in the upcoming sessions for some unfortunate PvP. But unlike PvP that feels unearned or forced in some way, this has been building.
Is there anything in your dungeon that, any setting, environment, or creature in your dungeon that might use that kind of manipulation?
They've already come across something that made an attempt on that, and oh, that doesn't look healthy.
Yeah, I don't know what you're doing with that stuff if it's been out here for...
Yeah, well, that's unfortunate. We're just going to set this over here so I don't accidentally take a drink from it.
And get cholera.
Yeah.
Dysentery. You don't want to get dysentery?
No, there's probably only one more encounter that has the potential for bringing that to a head without the players themselves finding them a reason to bring it to a head. There has been out-of-character conversation about the possibility that one of them might take a opportune moment if a fight is going in a certain way to eclipse that situation. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. The only time I've been talked to about this topic, the only thing I had to say about it is just remember that you do have a primary goal to being in the dungeon, and at the moment, do you think you can handle it without X players? X characters.
Thank God you're not building the dungeon around the concept of the breaking apart thing, because you could put them through a ringer.
Oh, that could be interesting.
You wouldn't even have to do things with manipulation of dice or suggest. You could do things that you already know are certain representations to their character or player, and put them in rooms to cause certain reactions.
Yeah, that could be. That could be an interesting thing. But as a DM, unless you have the right group of players, you don't want to present a scenario where you're playing the characters against each other.
Not unless that's the entire story. Unless
it's
that's the arc, and you've been planting
sure.
these things in through monsters and other devices the entire game.
That would be a good way to do it, but
that's the final test. Can you get over this thing to beat the big bad? That's the thing that takes the big bad. It doesn't take a great hero with a knife, and it doesn't take a great, magician. It takes a group of people that can keep it like this.
The big thing though is you need to with any situation, you need to be able to read the room. You need to be able to know, is this a thing that your players will both enjoy and be able to handle? Because I've done something like that before. We talked about it before on at least a couple of our live streams with the Legend of the Five Rings game. And I presented a scenario where the players had disagreements on just the ethics of the game.
Yeah, there's a moral and philosophical level upon which the players and player characters disagreed with each other.
And
which is a beautiful thing to see happen.
No, it was beautiful in the moment. The problem is that some of those players were not mature enough to just leave that conversation at the table. And maybe that's not the right word to say they're not mature enough. It's good that they
How about this? What if one of those players, through the game and its mechanics and this moral conundrum that was created, actually had like a qualified, like, life-altering philosophical understanding occur to them where they're like, oh my god, no, this is unacceptable to be like... And that means you would have reached personal change and growth.
Which is kind of what I was about to say, too. It's good that the conversation about the topic carried past the gaming table. The problem with that scenario is that the conversation turned into a very heated one that unfortunately actually led to friendships ending. Yeah, at least for... Those friendships, those bridges have been mended now, but for at least a good year and a half, those people didn't talk to each other.
But that's great in a way. I mean, imagine watching a TV show with your friends, and you were so invested in this TV show that during the season finale, you disagreed on a part of the TV show so much that your friendship blew up over it. Like, that's... Like, guess what that TV show was? A good damn TV show.
Yeah. I mean,
you know what I'm saying? That's the point of good art, is to evoke those passionate thoughts about philosophy, emotion.
Thinking about it in that context, I suppose you could say was a very effective delivery.
I'm jealous not to have been.
For me personally, though, it actually I took it not in that direction. Personally, it felt like I ran a game that somehow destroyed friendships and ultimately wasn't a fun experience. Now, looking back on it, there were a lot of fun moments, and I can tell stories about it for a good couple of hours, probably. But at the same time, even now, even with these extra ideas and extra thoughts about it, it's still tinged in a negative light for me, because it feels like, by proxy of the thing I produced, I brought discord and chaos instead of enjoyment and, joy or whatever.
Yeah, well, it's not the Holocaust, though, so...
Well,
I mean, the discord that you brought wasn't... you didn't build something that brought wretched pain, agony, and anguish.
Yeah,
you said the bridges are mended. It's all good now.
Sure.
If anything, you could look at that situation and go, well, I bet you the friends are going to have a problem with talking with each other and things like that. Obviously, they were having a problem anyway. They're back together now. So, either they answered this deep philosophical conundrum, or they realized, oh wait, I'm not supposed to burn friendships over my philosophical thoughts about shit.
You can't really handle. They just buried it and aren't addressing it. I mean, those are all options.
Well, see, that's just pessimistic. Yeah, that's probably the most possible scenario.
I know the people.
That's probably the most possible. Well, I mean, they're humans. It's probably the most possible scenario. But most humans, almost all humans. So
But yeah, no. So that's what I'm doing in role playing right now. The other thing is, we've started talking about the possibility of running a tabletop game once every 2 or 3 weeks. So that'll be 5th edition, in the Solarian setting, which is my setting that I've been working on off and on, not including the 3 years I've run in it. I've probably got 6 or 7 years of content creation into the world.
So I have a question for you, actually.
Yes.
Knowing because that's the game that I might be playing in the 5th Ed.
Yes.
Right, tabletop. Okay, so here we go. You've built history for your world. We built history for the new island. I don't know where this one's going to take place. With the old island, the new island.
We were considering possibly running the module.
Module?
So
okay.
that's a possibility.
Okay, well, if we run the module, then that's the module start anyway. I was thinking about, like, something for your world. I wanted to know if you had one. For your old island or for your new one or whatever.
You mean like a write-up blurb?
No, a particular thing I was wondering if you had for it. See, you say that when you build a world, the world continues motion as the characters are doing their adventure.
Yeah.
You like to... The bad guys are still operating, and these people are doing this, and this country's making these moves, and this is the things that are always occurring in the background while the characters are moving along this line. And if we go through multiple games, multiple sessions, the world is constantly doing that and growing and building and collapsing.
That's the goal, to create a most dynamic world or most dynamic feeling setting.
See, you play from the DM's point of view.
Yeah.
Right? And you build from the DM's point of view. So the question I wonder is, you build the bad guys that are doing things off in the background and the sideground and the foreground. Do you build a lot of Gandalfs? Do you have any heroes through time that are...
On occasion, I have a few, and this is actually, it's a great question. It's something that I've been putting thought towards recently. With the next iteration of any tabletop game that I run, a thought that I... Stop that cat from knocking that crap down.
BullCritter's. Critter, get over here. Come
on. But no,
Now we'll ignore you and you'll run to me.
Hey, it's actually working.
That's how cats work, man.
One of the things I wanted to do is, like, for a local region, like, let's say we're talking about first level characters. It's where you start out, right? I was thinking that in like the primary hub, if you want to call it a hub, not a quest hub, but like the hub of action and the going-ons within the 50-mile radius. I was thinking for first level characters, maybe having 2 or 3 other adventuring companies in the area. And that way, these people, they might be a group of 2 people or a group of 8 people. It's not going to be the standard 4-player, 4-person group. And not all of them might be...
it's 8 4-person groups, and you're like, am I like some kind of weird battle royale simulation game? Like, wait, what did your knight just say? My knight just had a philosophical wondering as if we were in a simulation because this doesn't... Why are they all 4?
So, and my thought on it is to give very vague descriptions as a write-down for me. They don't even necessarily need to be statted initially. But that way, when I roll out like 5 or 6 issues in town for you, right? You have the opportunity to get on more than one, sure. But there's also some other people working on it. And let's say you go to the Goblin Cave first, but there's also bandits in the woods.
Bandits in the woods are taken care of by the time you get out of the Goblin Cave.
Either the bandits in the woods are taken care of, or maybe when you show up, that 2-man group, you find them in cages in the bandit camp. But the bandits are more alert because some dumb asshole came and tried to knock them off. So it still gives this dynamicism, but it also gives this group of NPCs that the party will off and on interact with. And it doesn't mean that you're going to see them every time you go out. But you might show up in a town and I might tell you, yeah, the Bitter Claw Raiders. They were through town here recently, and that might be one of the groups that you've talked to in the past. You know that they're actually, pretty, even though their name kind of is suspect, they're actually really honorable dudes, and if you need help with something, you could probably hit them up and be like, hey guys, look, this is the thing we're getting into. On the other hand, you might know that John's Rangers are a bunch of scumbags.
John's Rangers are not scumbags.
If you mess with them or cross their path, they're liable to cut your throat. And I think that would create a new dynamic of other things going
Ash,
on in the world.
At the very beginning, gets his first competitor.
Yeah. I don't even necessarily mean for them just to be competitors. Maybe they're just in town hanging out. Maybe you find out that they're in town because...
a myriad of uses you look up to in the future. You realize that you're finally real adventurers. Why? Because when we started adventuring, those people were the real adventurers. Now we're better than they are.
Yeah.
Tons of different mechanics.
It gives you a bunch of little things.
Yeah.
And
you
then,
can do it throughout the different areas, but you said you wanted to build that for the starter area.
Well, for the starter area, I was thinking that you would build more than not so many that it's like, God, there's so many people trying to do this, there's no point. But so there's a couple people for you to compete for local contracts, for local concepts, side missions essentially, right?
And then when you get to the bummest, furthest, fuckest of Egypt in the swamp lands of where the Naga kill.
Oh, that's where you find Gandalf's tower.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's where you go and you're like, and no one's accepting contracts here. There's 36 of them on this board. None of y'all local level ones want to even start here, huh? Okay, what do we got?
But I haven't fleshed out how I want to do it, but I want to put more NPCs active in the world. And that's not to say that the world is lacking in activity, but right now my activities are like governments, organizations, and the bad guys. Those are the ones that my brain focuses on.
I have a question.
Okay.
If you don't mind.
Sure.
I don't want to interrupt if you don't.
No. That's...
Okay, I don't know if Coville did this in his new books on kingdoms and all that stuff, but what about a random generator for your world events, where like, I'm going to roll one for each country, and then I'm going to roll one for the main world on this. This country's experienced a famine. Okay, how will that affect the world? Cool, okay, that's how that's going to affect... that general area.
I think creating
when you add it to the log of lore.
Yeah, creating a chart of random things like that is actually a really good idea. And if you are staying on top of taking notes, and if you're making a point of keeping track of a calendar, which, although it sounds tedious, having track time, which is something I've rarely done. I need to get better at it. Every time I've talked to you about it, I'm like, it can help you in a couple of sentences build 10,000% drama just by going, you guys have to be somewhere on the 9th of March, and normally it's like, okay, 9th of March, but no one's keeping track of time. And all of a sudden, look, I'm like, no, you need to be there on the 9th of March. Here's the calendar. We're on the 6th. Yeah, if you follow the road, you won't be there till the 12th. But if you go through the forest...
I played one of those text-based ones with a story that I played on my phone recently. We had to go around getting ready for a fucking jousting tournament and stuff. And where you went increased your abilities, or you could get different things that helped you in your joust, like a better horse and stuff like that, and make money and all that. But they had a chart there where how much every travel from every city to every city was, and you had to follow that because you had deadlines for where to get where for what event.
Well,
and it actually, that almost became the game, which it wasn't what, like, I mean, the other parts of the game were good. That isn't what it was trying to do. But that really, like, you actually had to really balance. I liked it a lot.
It builds tension.
It made the game itself.
It creates tension. The other cool thing that it does is. If you've taken the time to generate a calendar, and that can be as simple as literally just using the standard Earth calendar, you get to put your holidays on there. And that comes with world building, and having like that random event chart list for areas. Like, you might go, oh crap, this place has fallen into famine, and then you have to find out how long it falls into famine. Maybe the party involves themselves in freeing the area of a famine, and then maybe a holiday for that freeing happens. Now you get to add something to the calendar, to the world.
People play that are in the same group or a different, group in that world. They get to experience the history that their play helped bring about. Those are all good things to have in games.
So it gives you this extra opportunity to flesh out your world, to add holidays. And they don't even have to be major holidays. Maybe
you can also give a better sense of distance in travel.
That too, but it lets you seed the opportunity where, like, maybe you come across a couple of duelists in a town. And you're like, man, we've run into duelists in like every Podunkville from here to like 3 weeks ago. What the hell is going on? Why are there so many people in this peaceful country fighting each other and claiming it's for the glory of just being the best duelist? Then you find out, oh crap, that town over there is having a major duel. You know. And it's not something that maybe is super publicized or even well known about, other than by people who are part of like a duelist guild or a duelist.
Or it's something local. Like the closer you are, the more they know about it. But like it's maybe a festival like setting.
Yeah.
But the further you get away, the more it's like I don't know. Some people come in every fucking 2 years. Yeah. It seems.
So it gives you an opportunity. It's something that you can generate on the side, create for yourself, and then when you in game are in the region where you want to seed that particular thing, you can start having NPCs talk about it. And it's this
it becomes this really big side quest that just exists.
And I wouldn't even necessarily call it a side quest. It gives the players an opportunity to interact in the world in a way that is not just combat or quest driven. It's something that if they decide to do it, they're doing it just because they want to interact with it.
Yeah, because it's interesting. But what I'm saying is, like, you get there and then you find out that there was somebody there from in like a different world that was there dueling.
Sure, you could seed all sorts of things there, but sometimes it might just be something interesting for you to deliver that's literally just the most mundane of mundane. It's a place where people
from
a reprieve from the tension that is adventuring,
or the insanity that is truly a fantasy empire or fantasy world.
Because I have to say, my experience both as a player as a DM, players very rarely take downtime, and I think that in certain aspects, the tensions and horrors of the things that those characters as players interact with,
they don't work through
them. They're not even engaged in that. And I have to say, like, if you were a farm boy and then you became a fighter, and then for a year you've been delving dungeons fighting zombies and ghosts and skeletons,
like things you didn't even understand actually existed a year and a half ago. Things that were just legendary monsters of the night that were told to you as a young child that, would get you if you were a bad boy or a bad girl. So, like, if you actually look at that and you look at, like, there's going to be some psychological steps. There's going to be some hardening. There's going to be a little bit of trauma, unless you're a Kender, which is why they're so awesome, because they can do all of that and somehow not get PTSD.
Well, but they got broken, too, when they pissed off a dragon. Yeah, a very old and powerful dragon.
They can't be scared because their fear's already set it forever.
So
it's not that they're not scared; it's that they're so scared you just can't tell. It's really sad. They're how are you not scared of the dragon in front of you? Because I'm going to be killed by a dragon one day anyway, no matter what. So, what's the difference?
I think that's a bit of an added thing that really needs to... It doesn't need to. If your players don't want to engage with it, then that's fine. No one is playing the game wrong. If you're having fun and your people are showing up every week, then you are doing exactly what you need to be doing.
Yeah, this is that's in my ideal version of role playing. It's not look, man, I'm not an ideal role player, so I can not judge anybody who comes to a table to die as long as they're coming to the table to have fun and share.
Yeah,
share their experience, share the other people's experiences, share time.
At the same time, that is the truth of the matter. Me personally, I would like to create an environment where my players are as engaged in doing the fantastical dungeon delving as they are in interacting with a festival or a religious rite, or hell, just going shopping for clothes. That can be interesting. It sounds odd, but it really can be interesting if your setting has created a situation where maybe going to court is something you only do in the not just luxurious but also like extravagant. Like maybe the court that you're visiting is one where if you aren't wearing some sort of a peacock plumage, you're going to get looked down on. So
is this guy from the Boondocks?
Yeah. So that can create interesting situations. Another one that I actually have found to be true not only at my own tables but from watching some of the online games like Critical Role. I haven't seen it in Colville's, but I haven't watched as much of it recently. Pets. Players love having pets. Be it finding a dragon egg, a wyvern egg, puppies of strange, exotic, and dangerous creatures. Players,
half cocker spaniel, half fairy.
Players love keeping pets.
How did that even happen? That was abuse. Somebody committed abuse.
That's like the party in my Friday game picked up 3 Blink Dog puppies that they have had with them now in game for about a year. Out of game, I believe it's almost the same amount of time, actually.
And there's a druid involved, or a ranger at least.
No, 2 elves. 2 elves were involved. But the thing is, they have 3 Blink Dog puppies, which is interesting. It's just a unique situation. I presented a scenario where the adult Blink Dog had actually been killed by the undead creatures that they were going around exterminating. They just didn't get there in time. And they saw the puppies, and like half the party was like, leave them behind. We don't even know how to take care of them. And the other half of the party were like, no, these are awesome. We're keeping pets.
So now you have 3, so what you're going to have to do is kill off 2 of them. Or one of them. One of them's going to be crazy and untrainable. You can't give them 3 trained Blink Dogs. I mean, you can. I guess it could be a thing, but like, I would say there has to be something else in there that has to be done in order to, you know what I mean?
I don't know. It's not, they're not really looking at it as the use of a combat pet.
Oh no, I'm saying it's so fucking epic that you have to earn it.
I'd say the scenario they went through to get them was earning it.
Okay. Then yeah.
And they've used it for some comic relief and just some
like a Blink Dog pet to me means like you somewhere in a parallel dimension or on the cover of a D&D book. You know, it's you're pretty much Dritz at that point or close to. You're in a small wheelhouse of heroes.
Why do you say that? I mean, Blink Dogs are to elves what like Rottweilers are to humans.
I thought to elves.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I thought the Feywild they are, but I didn't know the elves. I thought the fairies they were.
Okay, well maybe not quite that example. That's a bad one. Blink Dogs are to elves what a highly trained military dog would be to a human soldier.
Oh, I thought Blink Dogs were just naturally existing.
They are naturally existing, but they are more Fey related. You're correct in that. But they also have a heavy association with elves who keep them like humans keep dogs. It's an animal that requires a more tempered hand.
Like someone who's been trained to do it?
Yeah. It's like, you know, with human society, a lot of people who probably shouldn't have pets have pets.
Yeah.
With
Malinois is what you mean.
With a Blink Dog, it's
like if it's not trained properly or kept well, it could like lash out at its odor.
It's not just a matter of trained well. It's a dog that has like the intelligence of a 6-year-old, and the ability to not just understand commands. It can actually understand the Sylvan language. They understand a language. They can't speak it, but they have intimate understanding of the Sylvan language.
Yeah, but what I mean to say is, like, what happens when a 6-year-old not only has been hearing the word no for a while, but learns how to say the word no?
Yeah.
That's what you're dealing with if you don't train them properly.
Oh, yeah, no, I mean, you're right. They still need to be trained.
But it's epic. That's what I'd say. Like, so you have to, your next quest is you have to get these Blink Dogs, or you and the Blink Dogs, to a trainer who will then teach you how to become a Blink Dog trainer.
I can see
I'm
following you there.
Because it is an epic story, though, the idea of you train 3 Blink Dogs. But then that would even probably make them better than normal Blink Dogs. Why? Because it's the heroes that found them. So these Blink Dogs are, like, wild, from a great breed.
You could make them unique or something. For my setting, for where I have them, they're really just intended as set dressing. Given the fact that I'm bringing the campaign to a close, it's something that is cool to talk about, but it's not going to have the longevity at this point.
Yeah, of investing into...
To invest in that.
Yeah, so you can just use it as a payoff now, like an extra special payoff of coolness.
No, they left the Blink Dogs in a safe location, so they wouldn't be at risk in the place they're currently at.
With other elves?
With their subordinates.
Okay. Oh, they have subordinates still?
They have some. So. It's also like two of the party members actually have like followers using Matt Colville's followers and Stronghold and followers. So, and even though they have those followers, those players chose to leave those behind as well for the fact that they were going into
a dangerous place.
A super dangerous place. And they're like, yeah, I mean, I appreciate the fact that you're willing to come into literally something equivalent to the gates of hell with me.
You can't die for the thing that I opened.
That's kind of the thought process.
I love that, though. It's like, yes, the heroes, we're ready to vanquish the great evil that we started in the first place.
So
it's like that Journey to the West movie. Like the monks going around going, let me shut down the demon, and they're just like, I'm sorry, but we can't take the reward for stopping this great evil. Why? We can't tell you that part either, but we won't take the reward. Oh, it's because you're so generous? Yeah, it has nothing to do with guilt. Nothing.
Yeah. So yeah, in the grand scheme of things, those are the things that I have going on right now. I know that you're working on the module with me, and you're possibly going to be sitting at the table when we start our tabletop. Do you have anything going on
other than that? Well, no, I mean, other than the Outer Worlds that I finished way too soon and quickly, and this 6 Ages Ride of the Wind, no other RPG stuffs right now. I've been looking into, there's a lot of game stuffs coming out. Also, we were talking about board games before.
Yeah.
And South Park recently did an episode that had a gaming group.
Okay.
Department, and them in a gaming group. And they had a lot of board games, so much so that when me and a friend were watching it, I was like going, okay, we need to actually, like, what was that last one? Like, wait a minute, it's because they kept naming like really top board games. I did not realize how many board games have been coming out in the last. My radar fell off on it.
No,
they blew the frig up.
The board game setting or the board game hobby has really like.
I mean, I remember
we've been so focused on what D&D is doing because D&D is blowing up.
Yeah,
it's really like there's a tidal wave to ride, and right now is the moment to be on that wave. But board games have definitely been. It's been a slow burn though because it's something that's been going for probably at least 3 years now or more. Probably more. I started paying attention to it about 3 years ago.
Yeah, the Settlers of Catan and Carcassonne, that's been going since, like the early 80s.
Oh, yeah. Those have been going for a hot minute. But some of the players that are in my Friday D&D game online, we have a video game, I guess, or a virtual play space. It's called Tabletop Simulator.
Yeah.
And through that, I was introduced to a lot of interesting games. There's a lot of deck building games that are out there that, at first, it sounds very kind of but I gotta say they're actually quite a bit of fun. Even though the little booklets for them are usually pretty thick, a lot of it is actually just extra description. The rules themselves are generally light enough that I would say probably. A middle schooler could pick it up, read it, and learn it. But the strategies required for winning are complex enough to entertain even an adult. On top of those style of games, you've got a lot of these...
more co-op games.
A lot of co-op games.
Which wasn't even a thing like 15, 20 years ago.
Things like...
I never remember seeing a co-op game.
The Cthulhu co-op games, Zombie Survival, the Clue one you mentioned.
That's from like 93, 94 though. But I guess that was co-op. Because it was like one player versus like 3. Have you played it yet?
Yeah, we played it once or twice.
Yeah, fun.
That one was pretty fun.
Yeah. DM screen and then... That's why I was so stoked when they found it, because I was like, holy crap, like I've told people about this.
At a yard sale, I found an interesting game that we may at some point try and stream if we read the rules eventually. It is a fairly complicated beast, but...
Yeah, it's the battle, the invasion of Malta. I'm sorry, Eric's Assault on Crete, and then the invasion of Malta is a side game.
It is a game that screamed John's style and preference.
Which is kind of neat, because that means that you're going to be able to find good things like this going back into the thrift stores. A lot of them have not retained great value on resale markets.
Now,
but they make for good games. They make for good maps. Like, you can use these maps.
That's what I was about to say. They're already hex-gridded maps.
They have terrain features on them.
They have cities marked. I mean, the names might not be great for you, but, with a marker, you could ink one of those out and put your own city names there. And you have what is, in theory, a strategic military map that you could also
I've never seen these before. They have...
military games.
Yeah, military unit images. It's all symbols. So X is infantry. You got artillery with a dot. Other. Where's cavalry? Right there. And
but so
what the ones for
this is an interesting thing. I managed to pick it up for I think $2 or $3, which wasn't bad. The game itself is probably worth well more than that.
Well, when it first came out, I imagine it was $40 to $50, maybe $30, but probably $40 to $50.
But either way, not going to put a timeline on it. We still have to sit down and read the rules and really figure out how we would broadcast it. And I don't know how much interest there would be in it, but
well, I'm sure somebody would be if we're gonna play it anyway. We might as well, but I wouldn't make it part of the normal time.
No, it's not going to take up our normal scheduling. It's something that we'll work into the schedule somewhere. And
see who made it, bro?
Who made it?
Avalon Hill.
Really?
Yep.
Well, that makes sense. Back then, they got into a lot of that stuff.
A lot of it.
That's something that we'd like to show off. It's something cool that we've gotten our hands on. We will be looking around at other yard sales and things of that nature. Maybe we find some other cool things. There are a couple of old school dungeon games that I forget the names of. But
Hero Quest.
They're Hero Quest like. There's one that was made by Games Workshop, the people behind Warhammer. I think it's called Fantasy something. I don't remember the exact name of it. But if we could find a box of that somewhere with a reasonable price, that'd be something really fun to play and show off. We'd have to get a couple more people in here. But we have some friends that probably would be okay with being on the camera. Might have some limited association with BullCritter's, so...
They made a Munchkin PC game.
Really?
It looks like monkey butt.
It looks like monkey butt?
It looks like monkey butt. I don't know, man. Their pitch line was like, look at all, like now in the world of PC gaming, you can find all of the wacky and zany references and, witty, phrase stuff. So I'm like, it wasn't that witty or odd. I get it. Mitch Munchkin's fun right here. They were doing, some kind of platformer-looking thing that was Munchkin. And I was like, bro, you don't have enough. No, you're not Mark Twain. You didn't have me laughing for days on end over your subject matter here. I'm good.
So, I mean,
No hate on Munchkin. I like the game.
It depends on what all they do with it. If it's just a platformer, I don't know.
Yeah, I think it really did look pretty. I can check it out to make sure it was or was not a platformer. But it was some overtop shots of people running. It looked like a platformer.
Well, that's something to look into. It might be Drek. It might not.
See, if I was looking into a Munchkin game for a PC, then I would want a like you saw Prominence Poker. Right?
That's the thing you were playing the other day.
The poker game where you can emote. Okay, that game with the graphics, representation, but of a table where everybody's sitting with their avatar and they're playing Munchkin. And when you play a card, the animation actually occurs with the character doing the thing. Then you have an online Munchkin that people would want to play that already played Munchkin rather than some game based on the jokes that are made inside of a card pack game.
Another one that would be really weird, but I think would be fun in that same almost style that you're talking about is the Flux game.
Yeah, Flux would be great in that way too. Like you lay down, like boom, things happen with the stuff and stuff goes. You buy the Rick and Morty pack, and then Rick and Morty are on your table doing crazy stuff.
Specifically, the one that Rick and Morty. I'm sure there's
we had
Rick
Firefly,
and Morty Flux
and Monty Python.
The Flux that I enjoyed the most was the Monty Python.
Yeah, but it meant the little animated character comes up and does like the bunny thing and all that. That would be pretty dope in a virtual realm of gaming.
It could be pretty cool.
But no, it just looked more like they were using the name to make like you know they used to do a lot in the '90s on Super Nintendo and game like there's a new TV show on the thing. What is it going to be, a platformer?
Let's jump on that. Yeah.
Oh, to this day, whenever I see a kids, even Pixar.
I mean,
whenever I see a kids movie,
that there was which soda has the dot? That's
7-Up,
right?
bro. 7-Up had a bunch of games. Othello. That's the first time I played Othello. It was a 7-Up dot game.
Really?
With black dots and white dots. Yeah.
That's funny.
It was for Game Boy.
I remember playing a platformer for 7-Up. I also remember playing a platformer for
another 7-Up platformer.
Chester Cheetos.
Yeah, exactly. Every product had like a fucking platform. But no, when I watch movies now that are aimed at mid-age and children, as I'm watching the movie now, usually what I'm able to do during the thing is go, this is how this would be in the video game. Oh, they're setting up the part of the movie they need so they can have the part of the game where the person's running away from the thing chasing them and they have to jump through obstacles and stuff. There's going to be vines in this level. I can see it because that person in the movie just jumped on the vines. So there's definitely going to be vines they're going to jump on. Oh, there's going to be some elephants and rhinos they're jumping over to avoid. And I just described Tarzan, the video game, to you.
Are you sure you weren't describing Jumanji, the video game?
You could be either one. Except, the one with the vines in Jumanji is probably going to take place with the background of a mansion that never ends.
Yeah.
But you get what I'm saying? Like, you start watching things and you go, I know what level this is. This is what this level is going to look like in the video game that's going to come out, and I know it will be coming out.
I don't watch enough new movies to take the time to have those references. I mean, the last movie I watched was the Jay and Silent Bob one, and then before that, I think it was the Han Solo movie.
Really wanted to see that in Roadshow.
Unfortunately, we couldn't get tickets for that.
Yeah, because StubHub, they all sell out, and then StubHub and the second-hand salespeople have been pulled from their Zeppelins and drowned in lakes.
Well,
I am a proponent. Every single person who works for Ticketmaster who lives in a Zeppelin should be pulled out and drowned in the lake. I'll put my stamp of approval on that.
Right.
I'll make that call to action.
Let's not.
I mean, I can't. I am almost completely positive there's not one person.
I know.
That actually lives in any Zeppelin, but specifically one from that category of people.
We can hope. Well,
that'd be a pretty specific call out.
That is a very specific
Sir,
call out.
we can blame you directly for this.
But with that, we're kind of running to the end of our time for the night. We'll be back on Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday.
Saturday at 8 o'clock.
p.m.
I won't be pouring bad water into my coffee cup. Hopefully, I'll have a full cup of coffee.
Hopefully, we'll have 2 full cups of coffee.
I drank all of my coffee in the prep time, unfortunately.
Yep. Ditto here, most of it.
So,
thank you for tuning in to BullCritter's. This has been John.
And Steve. Wishing you a good night.
And see you on Saturday, hopefully.
We'll see you Saturday.